Nationality Act 2022, you realize that there have been series of amendments that came into force 28th of June 2022. These amendments has affected the British Nationality Act 1981 to the extent that it now allows citizens who previously would have been entitled to register as British citizens. So there has been a significant expansion of the possibility of you becoming a British citizen. So those of you who have been discriminated against historically in terms of females not being able to transmit their citizenship to their children, in terms of unmarried partners not being able to transmit their citizenship, in terms of males not being able to do that in the course of the act. So tonight I'm going to take my time to explain. Please, I want you to join me because there is someone who contacted me, I think somewhere last year when I was doing this show. And in fact, he has managed to make the application himself. He was born here. During the period that he was born, it was during the time that the mother was supposed to have been married to the father before they could pass on the British nationality to that child. And this gentleman has made an application. He got to the stage where they were asking for evidence of the father who is now deceased to show that he was married to the mother. And that evidence was not forthcoming. And he contacted me and I said to him, look, I don't want to take your money. This law is not in your favor because the law is saying that you need to show during that period that you were born, you need to show that your mother was married to your father before the British citizenship could be transmitted to you. Now, if this gentleman is saying following us, perhaps this is an open gate for him because this historical discrimination, which didn't allow unmarried spouse to transmit their citizenship to their children, has now been abolished. And in fact, this has been inserted under Section 8 of the Nationality and Borders Act 2022 into the British Nationality Act 1981, Section 4L. I speak facts here, I don't speak fiction. So if you have just joined me, tonight I'm talking about citizenship, British citizenship, and how people who have suffered historical discrimination because of their protected characteristics, namely sex, because there were times when females could not transmit their citizenship to their children. But not only that, marriage. So this somebody who was not married was not able to transmit. In fact, this remained a law up until I think 1st of July 2006. So children who were born afterward, whether they were married, and in fact, the law didn't even allow those who were married but had child with another person. So you could be married and obviously you might have a biological father to a married person. You may be a biological father to a married woman. And the law did not allow you to pass on your citizenship. All these discriminations have now been abolished. I always say that here we take the law. I'm not talking about the guidance which allows people who have been here for some time and in the past that character requirement did not allow those who have not been lawful continuously for 10 years to apply, which is now the discretion. I'm not talking about all these simple facts. I am teaching the law tonight, so I want you to join me so that we can all learn. But before I go further, I want to urge you to share the video with your friends and family members. Let them know. I'm sure this gentleman who once contacted me, sadly I don't have his number. I'll try and see if I still have his email address, so that I can be able to reach out to him and I tell him that the advice I've given you have now changed, so there's now opportunity for you to claim your citizenship as a child born here to an unmarried spouse. So I want you to share the video someone, somewhere. There are many times people ask me all kinds of questions about this citizenship, whether or not some of them were born here at a particular time in their life, some especially in their 40s now, who are still eligible. There is significant expansion of the possibility of being able to register to become a British citizen. Now, because of the changes in the law, which was brought in force on the 28th of June 2022 by the Nationality and Borders Act 2022. So please, if this is the first time you have joined this show is proudly sponsored by City Law Solicitors, and we are here on Wednesday in English, Tuesday in English, and then on Wednesday in Chi, which the program will be hosted by the famous MC Chaka, and then we have the Chi section to try to explain the same thing I'm doing tonight on Tuesday in English to our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who favor the Tree language. So that is what I'm going to do tonight. It's the English section. I want you to share the video as I go on this short commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to take my time to explain all the changes in the British Nationality Act 1981 and the fact that there have been a significant expansion of the possibility of all those who have suffered historical discrimination because of protected characteristics in terms of their sex, in terms of marriage, in terms of the fact that they were born at a particular time of the act, and just explain to you that due to the amendments in the British Nationality Act 1981, you are now eligible to now register, irrespective of your age, to become a British citizen. So please don't go away as I go on this short commercial break. I'll be back. Thank you so much for your patience. Like I said from the beginning, tonight I'm here to discuss British citizenship. For those of you who are not familiar with this topic, when we are discussing about British citizenship, we mean those who have lived here normally, for example. Let me just give a short background to this topic, and then eventually I will gravitate to the areas that have given rise to significant expansion of the possibility of people being able to now register or naturalize to become British citizens. So, some of you would have heard about the Nationality and Borders Act 2022. This Nationality and Borders Act deals with British citizenship, it deals with asylum seeker, modern day slavery. In fact, perhaps in the next few weeks, this topic I'm going to deal with it in 2 weeks because it's quite broad, and there are a lot of you out there who needs to benefit from these changes. So what I'll do is that tonight I'm going to look at the historical discrimination, and obviously I'm going to take my time to explain that, and those who will be eligible to register to become British citizens. And then the following week, I will look at those who can gain this citizenship through ancestral route, which is grandparents. But obviously, you need to understand the part 1 of what I'm doing tonight in order to be able to extend it to the part 2, looking at the grandparents, how one will be able to gain citizenship through the grandparent route, or what generally you say ancestral route. So normally, under the British nationality, if you look at from section 1, 2, 3 onwards, you find out that if a child is born here after 10 years of living here continuously, they are able to register to become a British. If one of the parents is British or has a settled status, then when a child is born, automatically that child becomes British. And if a child is born abroad, normally if one of the parents currently, this is where I want people to take notice of. Currently, if one of the parents is British, then that child born abroad, especially even those who are not yet British, but they are in the armed forces, military. If that child is born abroad, then that child can become automatic British. And that child become a second generation British. It means that if that child born abroad, that child has become a British by descent. These are technical languages. So that child becomes a British by descent because he has been born abroad. Therefore, that child is, if that child was to give birth in future to a child, another person abroad, that becomes a second generation child, and that child does not automatically become British, rather he needs to register. And I remember many years ago, I had one of my clients who was so frustrated. He was born abroad, he became British, and then he fell in love and went abroad, and then he gave birth to a child abroad. And in her head, she felt that because she is British and is gone abroad and giving birth to a child abroad, because of the fact that she herself is British, that child should automatically be British. And then you put in the application, as what would be expected. The passport office refused the application. And she was so confused, she didn't know what to do. Now, under those circumstances, that child has become what they call a second generation British born. So that child is not automatically entitled to a British passport. Rather, that child needs to go through the registration process. So those are the rules that existed prior to these changes that I'm going to announce to you tonight. I always say that here we teach the law. So if you are joining me tonight, I want you to be very attentive, because there are a lot of stuff that I'm going to list here. They are not fiction, they are facts. Now, so if you look at the background of what I've just explained, normally before the 1981 Act came into force in 1983, you find out that in most cases, there were certain groups of people who were not allowed to pass on British citizenship to their offsprings. There have been slight changes, I think in 2006, there was a slight change before 2006. And again, here, this route to British citizenship is quite complex. Before 2006, 1st of July, if I'm correct, unmarried spouse were not able to pass on their British citizenship to their offsprings. So for example, if I gave birth to a child before 2006 and we're not married, then even if I'm British, I could not pass on that citizenship to that child. Then after 2006 July, the law changed. So it allowed for, if you look at the section 4C, you find out that it allowed for those who were unmarried to still pass on that citizenship to their children if they have a certain status by the date that that child was born in country, not abroad. So what are the changes that I'm going to talk about tonight? The changes I'm going to talk about tonight here is quite clear. If you look at the Nationality and Borders Act 2022, there is Section 8 of the Act that looks at citizenship. Now, when you look at that Section 8, it has been inserted into, people should listen carefully here, so that you don't misquote the law. It has been inserted into the British Nationality Act 1981, Section 4L. And in fact, we have other sections from Section 4E to 4J. All these are changes. That's why I'm saying that it's going to take time for me to explain all these changes. But because I don't want to confuse viewers, and because I want everybody who is watching me tonight, including those who watch this video after I've left this studio, to benefit and understand this free legal advice that I'm giving, I will take it slowly and do it within the span of 2 weeks, which is doing those who have suffered this historical discrimination. And then next week I do the grandparents' route. Now, so you find out that if you look at the Section 4L, which is the Section 8 of the Borders, Nationality and Borders Act 2002, which came into force 2022, and these amendments to the British Nationality Act 1981 also took place on 28th of June 2022. So, for example, before that, I'm giving scenarios because I know that these are practical questions that I normally meet. So I've explained to you before 2006. So it means that all those who were born before the change of this law in 2006, which allowed unmarried spouse to, or which didn't allow a married spouse to pass on their citizenship to their offsprings. So you realize that people who would have been born in 1980s, who have been born in 1979, who would have been all those years, who were not married, just like the client that I was saying that he found us from Facebook and contacted us and has commenced the application. He has gotten to the stage that he was stuck because they were asking questions that did not make sense to him. So we found out that those people who were not married, they could not do that. They could not pass on their citizenship to their offsprings. And therefore, the change which has come into force that has expanded the possibility of individuals who fall within this category to be able to now become British or gain citizenship is the fact that the law makes it clear that any historical discrimination on the basis of protected characteristics, in this case, marriage. Remember, when we come to employment law, I've been doing employment law here, and we're looking at the Equality Act. They have, if you look at, this is the first time I'm seeing the same definition. Because if you look at this borders, Nationality and Borders Act 2022, and this definition of discrimination, it is the same definition that is given under the Equality Act 2010 under employment law. So here we are looking at the protected characteristics. So there was unfair legislative implementation in this case. Historically, if you were not married and you were born within the 1980s up to 2006, 1st of July, all those people, they could not pass on the citizenship. In that case, if you look at the Section 8 of the Nationality and Borders Act, which is now inserted as Section 4L in the British Nationality Act 1981, and this has been in force since 28 June 2022, it makes it clear that to deprive somebody the opportunity, the chance of being able to pass on their citizenship to their offspring on the basis that they were not married in itself is discrimination. So, what is the benefit of this change? The benefit of this change is that this historical discrimination that did not allow those who were not married that gave birth to children, either abroad or in country, that could not become British. This change then allows them to do that. Now, before that, I think quite recently, a couple of months ago, before this change came into place, I had a client who has contacted me that the father was a British, born in, I think, in Scotland, and then he has come in with a student visa, and he has gotten to the stage where she feels that he wants to trace the father's root and be able to gain citizenship on that basis. And the law then did not allow it. But currently, that change, because they were not, the parents were not married, which would not allow him to then gain that citizenship, that change now allows that to happen. So that's point number one that I want people to take note. So if there is anybody out there whose parent is British or was born here when the father had a certain status and they were not married, and marriage was used as a basis of discrimination for depriving them of citizenship, they are now entitled to do so. Just like I've given two scenarios. One whose father was a British and born abroad, but unmarried to the wife, now being able to claim on the basis of this law. And secondly, one being born here with the father having an indefinite leave to remain, and therefore that child should have been born British, but because the parents were not married and he was sent to Ghana, because I have personally spoken to this guy who is staying in Ghana. And now wants to claim because he was born here, he now wants to claim the fact that you should be British because when the father was born, when he was born, the father had a certain status. And in this case, if this person that I've spoken to was born after 2006, July, when the act came into place, then he would have become British before being sent to Ghana. But because he was born before that, so there have been what? Historical discrimination. So this person couldn't do it because the parents were not married. And now, the mere fact that he was born here and the fact that the father had a certain status, irrespective of they were married or not, now entitles him to now gain citizenship. So that is one aspect of the discrimination that didn't allow people to gain citizenship on the basis of marriage, which now allows them to do that from 28th of June 2022. But the good thing is that this allows all those people who were born during that period, who hitherto were not able to do that, they can now do it. They can now gain that citizenship that they were deprived of. That's one grounds of discrimination on the basis of marriage. Right. So, the second grounds for discrimination is sex. You realize that before 1981 Act, you find out that if you are male or female, at some stage of the law, we have the 1948 of British Nationality Act, and then we also have the 1981 Act. Now, within it, you find out that at some stage, those who were females could not pass on the citizenship to their offsprings. So you realize that here, there is what they call sex. Because when we come to sex, we are looking at that person is male or female. So in most places, if somebody is a British and give birth to a child abroad, the fact that, for example, he has a particular sex, either male or female, will determine whether he will be able to pass on that citizenship to the offspring. And there are many people abroad who have not been able to gain their citizenship, even though they were born by parents who were British, for the simple reason that those parents, in order for them to determine their citizenship, was based on the parents' sex, either they were male or female. Again, this has been considered to be discrimination on the basis of sex, because there was an unfair legislative information that excluded a particular group of sex to transmit their citizenship to their children. So if a male could do it, why couldn't female also transmit it? So if you are unlucky to be born by one of these parents, either of which may not have citizenship, then because of the fact that you are born by one that has citizenship, but because of that particular person's sex, you could not gain your citizenship. It means that because of that sex, you were deprived of that opportunity. Again, if you look at the section 4L, this amendment has been inserted into the Act to allow for those of you who fall within that category to now gain that citizenship. So there is what they call possible expansion, significant expansion for you to gain it on that basis. The third category, which I'm going to go to, but before that, I want to acknowledge my viewers. If you are on this platform and watching, those of you watching from my personal profile, it's so nice that you follow me and you watch the show there. But I want you to come to the CITI Law, CITI Media TV, because that is the epicenter where all these actions are taking place. And therefore, if you put a comment on the CITI Media TV, I'm going to acknowledge you. So if you are watching me, I value you so much and your time for being with us tonight. So I'll be very happy if you can let me acknowledge you. So I have a couple of people who viewing tonight, and I want to acknowledge them. I have Joe Chaka, which is MC Chaka, who is a host of this show, watching tonight. I have Mr. Kofi Martin, who says, good evening, Lawyer Kofi. I hope you're very well. I have my favorite Ernestina Kari, who is also here. I have Dingo Tafek. He said, good evening, Lawyer. Dingo, I hope I've mentioned your name properly. I have Ajua Duchua. Oh, Ajua, it's been a while. Thank you tonight. I have Kenechi Standard. Good evening, Lawyer, who is also watching. I have Rita. Rita is my own sister, who is also watching here. I have Cynthia and Kama. Cynthia and Kama is watching tonight. I have highly favored Priscilla also watching. Yeah, so guys, if you are on the show tonight, I want to acknowledge you. Let me quickly see those who are watching on my personal profile. Guys, I want you guys to join us at the epicenter where all the action is taking place. So I'll be very happy. Wow. Afomala, you of all people, I was thinking you're going to come to the CITI Media TV. Afomala is also watching from my personal profile. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have Augustine Piazza on my personal profile watching. Guys, you guys can join at the CITI Media TV. That is the epicenter where all the actions are taking place at the moment. So I want you guys to join me there. Right, so I have explained two categories of, look, these are serious stuff that I'm talking about here, because I know a lot of people out there who, some of them, they will say that, oh, I have an uncle who was born in the UK at this particular time. Do you think you should be able to qualify for under this route? Yes, most of you who couldn't qualify then, now qualify. And I still remember, I think about 4 years ago, I went to Ghana on holiday and somebody came to me. At the moment he heard that I'm a lawyer, he just started explaining how the cousin was born abroad in the UK during some particular time, and wanted to know if he has heard that he can become a British. And he wanted to know more about it. And sadly, I didn't have any good news for that person because of some of this discrimination, which has now been abolished within the Act. So that's why I'm here tonight, so that people out there who previously could not claim some of these legitimate rights can now do so because of the changes in the law. So I have looked at those who were discriminated on the basis of marriage because their parents were not married. I have looked at those who were discriminated on the basis of the fact that their parents, either one of them was a male or female, and depending on that nationality they had at the time, they could not transmit it. So these two categories of people, unfortunately, have not been able to gain citizenship because of the fact that either their mother could not transmit during the particular period of, or their father could not transmit because they were not married. So this has been a major discrimination against certain protected characteristics, which I would say sex or marriage. Now, we also have those who, and this is the fact that sometimes surprises people. You know that sometimes someone could be married and still have a child with another person. Yes. Because sometimes, marriages, people sometimes separate, and it may even take a long time before they eventually divorce. And in the course of time, some of them may have a child with another person. And obviously, if you look at the current IVF and all those stuff, you find out that, again, here, there were a lot of complications. I've said that this area of the law is quite complicated. But I want viewers to take note, because whenever I come here to explain the law, because of the passion I have to assist people who are going through a lot of challenges. And because of the fact that they lack knowledge, and the Bible makes it clear that lack of knowledge, my people perish. So I'm here to give free knowledge so that you don't perish. So you find out that people could be married and still have a child with another person. And somebody will say, wow, lawyer, what are you talking about here? Yes. For example, currently people go through IVFs, they have spontaneous. Are you saying that? And if you look at the definition, all these things had made it quite difficult sometimes. If it's not an anonymous donor and this is the person who is the biological father of the child, then in that case, sometimes it becomes quite difficult for that child even to become British. So you find out that where one is married, obviously, and has a child with another person, then before some of these changes, it was difficult for that child to automatically become British because of the fact that he is born to a couple married rather than the other person who is the biological father, who perhaps may have some citizenship that could transmit it to that child. So that is another area of the law that has also changed, that it doesn't matter who is the biological father of the child to the married couple, they could still transmit their citizenship to that child. So tonight I have taken my time to explain 3 categories of discrimination on the basis of sex, marriage, and for those who may be married again, by extension, having a child with another person and not being able to transmit citizenship to them. So I am not talking about the fact that the guidance has now allowed for those who have lived here previously, if you have been here unlawful within 10 years of your stay here, then you could not naturalize to become a British because of the character requirement. But of course, that has now changed. As long as from the time you had your indefinite leave to remain, you have a good character, then that is what. So it is from the date you gain it going onwards, your lawful resident, that's one will be taken into account, not the past, that one reason or the other, maybe you fell in love, you couldn't travel abroad and you were here, you gave birth to a child, and suddenly you gain indefinite leave to remain. And then that was being used against you, that unless you can show you have been here lawfully for 10 years before. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about monumental changes in the law, significant expansion of the possibility of people who have been discriminated against in the past, historically, to now gain citizenship. That's what I'll be doing tonight. So gradually, I'm just coming to the end, and as I always do, I'm going to open the phone lines for people to ask questions. And I said that this topic is quite broad, so next week I'll look at the ancestry root. Grandparents, some of you out there, your grandparents might have passed away, but they were British. It means that this same changes that has happened, that I've just explained, has affected those grandparents. You guys have been deprived of your citizenship because of either marriage or because of the fact that one of the parents had a particular sex, male or female. So by extension, I'm going to look at the ancestral root or grandparent root, how those people can equally gain their citizenship next week. But for now, I have looked at these 3 areas of historical discrimination, and I'm going to open the phone lines for anyone who wants to ask questions or anyone who has any contribution to make to the show. I'm going to be here. You know that whenever I open the phone line, it's also an opportunity for us to advertise CITI Law Solicitors, because they are the proud sponsor of this show, this wonderful show, brought to you every Tuesday and Wednesday. So what I'm going to do tonight is to open the phone lines, and then obviously, if you so decide that you want to phone in, the phone lines are open, I want to mention the phone lines to you just in case you are as short-sighted as me, so that you can know the lines that you can call. But whilst doing that, I will take my time to also advertise our sponsor, City Law Solicitors, who is sponsoring this show. This show, as I always say, is proudly sponsored by City Law Solicitors. So the phone lines are now open. Now, this show that I've just done, if you have mixed any part of it or any part of this program, or if you find it very, very tantalizing, very insightful and interesting, you can watch it again, because this program is recorded and stays on the platform throughout the everlasting. You can always go out there and watch it. There are many programs that I've done, even some of them last year, where people are phoning in to thank us for the detailed advice that we're giving to the public free of charge. And some people who hitherto would have struggled with some of these things are now having the opportunity to understand some of these basic stuff themselves. So this program is recorded. You can watch it again and again and again. I am the one who brought this show to you. My name is Thomas Berberon from City Law Solicitors. Now, at City Law Solicitors, we specialize in numerous areas of the law. Broadly, it's one-stop shop. All your legal matters can be solved. If you're a business, City Law Solicitors can do so much for you. One, we can get you sponsorship license for you to recruit from abroad or in country. In fact, there is no law that forbids you from recruiting your brother, sister, uncle. The job has to be genuine. So that's one thing we can do for you as a business. We can also advise you on your employment law as a business. I'll come to the individuals. Most of you sometimes are dragged to the employment tribunal and have to pay huge compensation because of your lack of knowledge of the law. So City Law Solicitors, if you're a small business and you want a lawyer to assist you, who will assist you to advise you on the employment law. Obviously, if you want to form a business with someone and you need assistance with drafting partnership agreement or putting in place shareholders agreement or directors agreement or directors contract, we can do all these things for you. They are so significant that if you don't put some of these things in place, when the business starts booming, you could face a lot of challenges. So please, we are here for small businesses. Now, coming back to individuals. Immigration, obviously, we specialize in nationality and citizenship. What I've done here tonight is what they call nationality and citizenship. How to gain your citizenship. That's what I've been doing tonight. That's one aspect of the immigration law. The other aspect of the immigration law is for those of you who want to bring your spouses, who want to bring your children from abroad, and those of you who are even living here, who have lived here for 20 years and you want to gain your stay. Those of you who have even lived here for less than 20 years, go and watch some of them videos. You don't sometimes have to live here for 20 years. For the law makes it clear. If you can show there is an insurmountable obstacle of your life continue elsewhere, then if it's simply if there is a good cause for you to be granted that leave, then you don't have to stay here up to 20 years. But obviously, those of you who have also had case one way or the other have contact parental relationship. Last time I explained here that you don't have to be a biological father to be able to have leave to remain. You need to just have a parental relationship. So those of you who are waiting to give birth before you can regular your stay, no, the law does not explicitly say that you have to be a biological father before you can do that. So we have various areas, we practice on the various areas of the immigration law, and we'll give you very good advice that will assist you. Whatever problem you are facing under immigration law, those of you making application under EU law and all that. Today I was interacting with somebody. I asked him, when he kept looking at his phone, do you think you're at the wrong place because he said somebody gave our number to him? He said, no. Even if I was at the wrong place, by the time I finished discussing, having this consultation, I know that this is the right place. We give very good advice and we know the law. So if you have any immigration problem and you want someone to assist you, don't go far. City Law Solicitors is here to assist you with all your immigration issues. Employment law, obviously, day in, day out, those of you who have been unfairly dismissed, we are here to assist. Let me tell you something. Sometimes people feel that employment, some of them, they can do it themselves because they read on the internet. Look, today, I was dealing with a case where a compensation had been agreed for my client that will not take this matter to the employment tribunal. ACAS has agreed it. And then I get an agreement in terms of what they call Code 3, the respondent, which is the employer, proposing that he's going to make deductions from that money and calling it notice pay. And then I wrote back to them and said, look, up to £30,000 payable to my client is tax-free. Why are you making this deduction? And then ACAS agreed with me and said, look, yes, that's right. I'll go back to them. These are some of the things that if you are not using the lawyer who is knowledgeable in employment law, she will not be able to maximize that compensation for you. That's why I urge you that don't go far. City Law Solicitors under the employment law, we are here to assist you. And day in, day out, people are being assisted to get the right compensation that they rightly deserve. If they have been unfairly dismissed, if they have suffered discrimination, bullying, and harassment at the workplace, we are here to assist. Family law. Last time when I was doing a topic under sharing the matrimonial asset fairly, MC Chaka said to me, oh, it looks like we've done a lot of divorce cases even there. I said, yes, because family law is mainly about the family. And obviously, you can't talk about family law without talking about divorce and child arrangement order and domestic abuse and all those stuff. Of course, they have the public law aspect, which is to do with when social services try to pick your child from you. We are also there to also assist. So all these areas of the family law, City Law Services, we are here to assist you. And in fact, we are family law accredited. Go and check. The distinction is that we are not just ordinary solicitors. We are family law accredited. We are the peak of the practice. That's what it means. Personal injury and clinical negligence. If you ever had an accident, motor accident, accident at the workplace, accident at the public place, be it supermarket, that was not your fault. We can also assist to claim compensation for you. I must admit that these cases takes a while, but eventually we'll get that compensation for you as long as that accident was not your fault. Commercial dispute and civil litigation. If somebody is owing you, he doesn't want to pay the money, a business has made a promise to deliver goods to you, they have failed to do it. You've made some deposit somewhere, they failed to deliver. Someone else has taken money from you, he doesn't want to pay, he has taken your money, and he feels that, in this country, that's what most people say. Oh, it's not criminal offense. If I owe you, I don't pay, you can't do anything. Ultimately, my Ghana people will say, oh, really? We will get an order against you. We'll take that house from you and give it to our client. We'll make deduction from your wages. So if anybody is owing you, he cannot go scot-free. We have the tactics for enforcing the order to get that money for you. So don't go far if you have any civil litigation or commercial dispute matter. Housing law, remember a couple of weeks our client was being unlawfully evicted on the basis of rent arrears. We have to go in there and assist him, and eventually we stop the eviction, and we are now in negotiation for compensation. My colleague always say that it is not always whoever calls the police that gets arrested. Rather, whenever you call police, it's not the person you are calling the police to come and arrest that may end up being arrested. You calling the police can be arrested. In this case, the landlord who was a victim of our client, is the one that is in the soup now. City Law Solicitors, we are here to assist you with your housing matter. These are the areas that we specialize. Consumer law, if, for example, the insurance doesn't want to pay you a claim, if you ever bought a product that is not of satisfactory quality, it is not as described, and these are things that happen on daily basis. That's why I always tell you that City Law Solicitors is one stop. Our firm is there to serve the community. And the community is not just individuals, businesses as well. That is why City Law Solicitors is there. That is why our name is City Law. All the cities, we are here to assist you. It's been amazing having you tonight. I'm coming to the end of the show. And obviously, if there is anyone who has any question on the topic that I have discussed or any legal question in any of the areas of this law that I have just described or explained, I'll be more than happy to assist. And obviously, I think somebody has called.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, lawyer. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Afobinla.
Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Yes. Thank you. I'm a happy client of City Law. And tonight I'm calling to commend you for the good job you're doing. And to say thank you so much for working so hard and be exceptional in dealing with client cases. Today I have good news and I'm happy. So I'm commending you to everyone that is listening, that have any issue here in the UK, be it immigration, be it employment, family law, whatever it is, that there is no better place to go than at City Law Firm. One thing that even beats my imagination has to do with your patience towards your client. Some of the clients are worrisome, including myself. We do not know that today is a bank holiday and we should let you rest. We call at all times, at dawn, midnight, any moment we are calling. We want feedback and stuff. But you still have the patience to listen to us and deal with our cases effectively until the point where we get the results we desire. So I'm calling to say thank you so much for your time.
Wow.
And thank you for representing me. And thank you for making me happy. God bless you.
Bravo. Well, thank you. This is what we looking forward to. Obviously, I can't go into detail because of data protection, but of course it's a very complex case, and I understand why he's very happy and he wants to share his joy with you out there. This is what we do for living. We are here to get the best outcome, irrespective of your case, the complexity of our case. I was telling one of my colleagues that, look, City Law Solicitors it's like the bones. When Ezekiel was praying, he said the dry bones will begin to walk. It doesn't matter how bad that case is. We have the patience, the diligence, and the experience to handle it. And obviously, if you have the patience, you get the result. Look, I always say there is one of my clients, I remember I started her case in 2007. The case has dragged on, it's immigration case. Somebody referred her to me, and I did that person's case, I think around 2007, around May. And he had a very good outcome. And he referred a friend, but obviously that friend was unlucky. So her own case dragged on. I think one of these days he also call and then let viewers be aware that some of the good work we've been doing. But one thing that I'm so thankful to her, she never gave up. She never took a file anywhere. She still stayed with City Law. And it's these EU cases. And to my surprise, I applied for 5 years for her, and eventually was given indefinite leave to remain. So for all the 5 years, 2007 to 2022, which is 5 years, eventually he has gotten more than he even wish for. This is what we do for our clients. So obviously, I'm very happy that you have come out to acknowledge the fact that you're very satisfied with the services we've rendered to you. Guys, on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, MC Chaka is going to be here. I'm going to take my time to explain these things to viewers. And I know you might have some friends, some relatives somewhere who fall within this category. This is the change that has come into force since June 2022. I don't come and talk about all these small facts about those who are here on lawful for 10 years. I teach the law on this platform, and obviously I want viewers to take advantage of these teachings because I know that it means a lot to those of you out there who have had some of these questions unanswered for a long while, and now there is the significant expansion of the possibility of gaining your citizenship through some of these routes that I have just explained. And above all, I'm grateful to you out there for joining me tonight, and I'm very, very grateful. God bless you all. I have Asim Hussein, who is also watching here, and I have Phyllis Opoku Texan. Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have Fancy, Idiom Fancy, I'm so grateful for joining us. Dingo Tafik, I think I've already acknowledged you. Guys, I'm very grateful to you out there for joining us tonight. I'm coming to the end of the show, and I want to urge you that tomorrow, the same time, you can join us, and we'll have a wonderful show here in the Tree language. God bless you. Thank you.